I'm Dante. I run Dante Sports Data, where we find the most consistent players and teams across all sports every single day. That way you do not have to guess. I guarantee if you stay till the end of this video, you'll learn at least one thing that'll make you a smarter sports bettor. Today, we're going to be talking about live betting and how you can actually get better lines live in game and how you can take advantage of live betting because it's one of the best ways to get an edge on sports books. I'm going to be talking about some things in this video that I haven't really heard talked about anywhere, some of these strategies that I've applied and I've used and you can implement as well. So when does live betting props actually make sense? So there'll be situations where there's role players or non-starters where you can actually wait because they're not going to get minutes early in the game, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a bit. You can target guys with slow starts or guys that you already liked pre-game before the game even started. And also in basketball, you could have someone that's in clear foul trouble earlier that could shift game script. You also could have a situation with weather, such as in NFL. We just recently had a playoff game where it was basically the tale of two halves. In the first half, weather was completely clear. There wasn't supposed to be really any snow at all. And then second half, all of a sudden it came in and it was a complete blizzard game in the second half. So let me show an example here. So let's say we've got a role player and pre-game he's set at over 10.5 points, and this is a bench player, so he is not a starter. You can actually wait on this line right here, and as the game is going on, he's not in the game, it's going to slowly drop, and you might be able to snag it at over 9.5 points. You could even maybe get it lower depending on when that player comes in the game. That's why it helps to kind of know minutes and when players check in the game when you're targeting certain players, or just being aware, are they a starter or are they not a starter? Are they a bench player? Because if you're taking it pre-game, the game's going on, lines are going to adjust live throughout that game. So in this case, you were targeting a player at 10.5 points. It then shifts live to 9.5 points, which is a much better line, especially when basketball, when you've got 2-point baskets, you also have threes, but 9.5 is a much better number than 10.5 because somewhere that's either going to be 5 2-point baskets or he's going to have to hit a 3-pointer somewhere in there, but 9.5 is much more favorable. Here's another example. This one's foul trouble. So let's say in this case we have a starter. He starts the game, he gets 2 fouls in 5 minutes. What can be likely is that starter's minutes will go down, that player's the backup's minutes actually end up going up. So in this case, for this starter, you could actually try to target their under possibly, or for the backup, you could be like, okay, in this case, we maybe target the over on the backup. And that also goes with game script as well. Let's say a team's starting to get blown out or it's a blowout. We know that probably the bench players are going to get a little bit more minutes, especially late in the game in the fourth quarter, because they're down and they're not going to want to risk their starters getting injured. And then we have the situations where it's a tale of two halves. For example, in the NFL, we had just had a game where in the first half, weather was completely clear. In the second half, it was a complete blizzard, and that was not really expected. It was a complete change in weather. That game ended up going very under in the second half because of that change. So if you're able to pick up on this stuff live, you can definitely get an advantage, especially in that situation when the weather wasn't accounted for. Books aren't going to be able to adjust as fast. So tracking slips can be a great way to be able to track this value live. So what you do is pre-game, you find certain lines that you want to target. Now pre-game, for example, this guy could have hit this line maybe in, let's say, 10, 15, or even 20 straight games, but it's priced at minus 500, minus 400 odds. Well, that player can get off to a slow start, and those odds are going to start shifting to more favorable odds. Or for example, a player, their line before the game starts could be at 20 points. They get off to a slow start. They're 2 for 10 from the field in NBA, for example. That line's going to continue dropping to 19.5, 18.5, 17.5, and you're able to get much better odds at that alternative line. The alternative line that was minus 500 could then become the main live line that you can get at plus 100 odds or minus 110 odds, basically even odds, and get that value for a high hit rate, but basically get it at even odds when pregame you never could have gotten that value. So the general rule of thumb to follow is only attack if the live line is better than pregame. You never want to take a line that is worse value than pregame. The whole point of live betting is to get the better value on that bet live. So let's say pre-game you had 3 or 4 players that you wanted to target. You put the minimum bet amount, you put them all on a slip and put the minimum bet amount the sportsbook will allow you to place just in order to keep tabs on those players, and you can see their live lines. So let's say one of the players, say player A, his line pre-game was over 22.5 points, and he was one of the players we had on our tracking slip. The game starts, he starts off cold and goes 1 for 6 shooting. That live line at 22.5, now you check your tracking slip, you go, you can hit, I know for example in FanDuel, you have your tracking slip, you can say re-add to bet slip and it'll show you the live line of that player. And when you check that, you find that the live line is now at over 18.5 points, which is much better value than if you were to bet pre-game at 22.5 points. And same goes for a player that maybe you wanted to target their under. There could be a player that normally doesn't score a lot of points. They go absolutely off in the first half, and you're like, wow, they're on pace for a career high. You can bet their under, basically betting that they're not going to hit their career high. So a tracking slip can just be a great way to monitor value live. And also inside VIP Pro, inside Dante's data, we actually have NBA Overwatch, which is a live betting tool. So you can have it tag you when players are under or overperforming. It'll also let you know if they're in foul trouble. You can see how many fouls they have, so you can target off that as well. If a player's in foul trouble, or if, you know, like if one starter's in foul trouble, you might want to look to bench players. It will let you know that, and you can tag multiple players and get alerted, like I said, when they're over or underperforming. So when we're live betting our edges, we're not going off FOMO. We're not watching a game and being like, oh, this player is doing really good, we need to grab his over. That is not the way to do this. This is very calculated, where you're targeting certain lines, and that's what we do inside Dante's data. We track the most consistent players that hit a certain line time and time again, 20 straight games, and that is basically their floor. Now, yes, they can go under that, but we're targeting those type of players with this strategy. So we start with props that we'd want to bet pre-game. We would have bet this pre-game at the right price, but it wasn't priced how we wanted to. We're taking advantage and betting it live with this strategy. So we use this live to get soft numbers better than pre-game. And with NBA Overwatch inside Dante's data, VIP Pro, we track those over and under performances for you, so you're getting tagged when this is happening. So when we live bet, we're only betting when roles, minutes, or the script change. This is not random. This is not off a feel or how you think a player is doing, because when I started betting about 10 years ago now, you'd see a player, they'd be doing good, you'd want to go and bet the over just because you had that vibe. It is not the way to go. We focus on data, so we know when we're betting a line, we are getting value. And over time, the more value you get like that, the more ROI you're going to be able to get. And use tiny tracking slips to watch these props and get better live numbers. So even with NBA Overwatch, as you're tagging players that you want to follow, you're able to put those on a slip as well. That way it's even easier for you to tag those players and keep track of them, keep tabs on them, and snag a live line. And we only bet live bets around edges we already liked pre-game. Live is for a better price. Again, I can't stress it enough. It is not about a vibe. It's not about FOMO bets, how you're feeling. This is very calculated, a very calculated strategy. If you want access to our NBA Overwatch live betting software, links are down below in the description. You can check out the VIP page, and VIP Pro includes our live betting software. That way you're able to tag these players, and it makes it a whole lot easier to track all these players every day. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to watch another video, you can watch this one here. It's a really good one. It'll help out a lot, and I will see you in the next video.